कुमारस्वामी नायक गोंगो अलुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
In the news tonight, TCyasa intensifies, heads our way. Over 600,000 Fijians could be affected, says NDMO. And Bua residents don't want a repeat.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nana.
Bulawanaka, Fiji. The Fiji Meteorological Office says the weather will worsen from tonight into tomorrow morning as tropical cyclone Yasa continues to move closer. The Category 5 system was located about 440 kilometers west-northwest of Yasawa-Irara, or about 500 kilometers northwest of Nandi at midday. On this forecast track, severe TCyasa is expected to be located about 280 kilometers northwest of Yasawa-Irara, or about 360 kilometers north-northwest of Nandi, and about 320 kilometers south-southwest of Rotuma at 3 tomorrow morning. The system is currently moving eastwards at about 11 kilometers per hour. Acting Director Nandi Weather Office Terry Atalifo says they're looking at 100 to 250 millimeters of rain in the next 24-hour period, and in a worst-case scenario, it's expected to be 15 millimeters of rain per hour. The wind strength for TCyasa is anticipated to be around 220 kilometers per hour.
You know, with that kind of wind strength, it's going to do a lot of damage to infrastructure, to houses. It can even uproot very big trees. So, you know, this is like I said earlier, this is a very intense system.
More than 600,000 people, or 66% of the Fijian population, are within the scope of the direct impact of tropical cyclone Yasa. Director National Disaster Management Office Vasiti Soko says this was the assessment as of last night. However, a more current analysis is being carried out based on an updated cyclone track. This statistic is a major cause for concern as Fiji gets ready to face the wrath of what possibly will be one of the strongest cyclones to hit our part of the region. Apanisa Wangairandovo reports.
It is making its way.
The director NDMO warns the country will experience intense weather conditions that can cause massive destruction.
It's strong enough to uproot trees, it's strong enough to uproot buildings, those that are not well secured, and therefore it can also cause a lot of flying debris. It's strong enough to incur that kind of damage.
Soko says people must act on advisory.
We are asking you, we cannot come in by force. We are asking you, you know your house. If you know that your house cannot withstand this wind, the evacuation center is there for you. Please move to the evacuation center.
Minister for Economy Ayasa Edkeyum admitted TCyasa is an added threat to the Fijian economy. However, immediate funds have been put aside.
Reality of the matter is that, government finances are already strained. However, notwithstanding that, we had made some allocation for disasters. We have approximately in excess of about $3 million that's available for immediate funding.
In 2016, Category 5 TC Winston cost the economy $1.99 billion in damages. This signals the scale of damage TCyasa can cause as the cyclone will cover the whole of the Fiji group. Apiniso Gardobo, FBC News.
And Apanisa joins us live now. Apanisa, this is the second Category 5 cyclone in 4 years that will affect Fiji. What more can you tell us?
Edwin, with the Minister for Economy telling us earlier what the response funding will look like. 4 years ago, when TC Winston hit, the total damage bill stood at around $2.98 billion. This will be of great concern as we are already greatly affected by the impact of COVID-19. 44 people lost their lives in Winston, and that is something official will want to avoid. Also, Edwin, given that 44 people lost their life, it is advisory that we please do take advice and adhere to all advice and take all precautionary measures. Also, Edwin, most of the businesses around the country will close tomorrow, and there will be no school, so it's time to stay indoors and stay safe.
Thank you, Apanisa. After losing everything to Category 5 TC Winston almost 4 years ago, families in Navavembua are not taking the weather forecasts lightly this time around. They've begun preparing for what could be a similar to worse than TC Winston situation. Eleanor Turangaiviu was in Navave and files this report.
With lessons learned from TC Winston in 2016, this family in Navavembua is not overlooking the weather reports.
We felt how strong TC Winston was, and with this one coming, we are fully prepared. We are not taking it lightly.
The family runs a fish diving business out of their property. When FBC News visited them yesterday, their home was already secured with ropes, and they were doing the same with other structures in their compound.
We will be bringing all our fiberglass boats inland into our compound and will bind them.
Another family badly affected by TC Winston and living along the Moa coastline has already moved out of their home.
We were planning to pack all the stuff we can take and keep and move them up to Navave Village Hall before Thursday. We will be sheltering there until the cyclone passes.
Out at sea, a storm is brewing. Black clouds gather across the sky in the distance, hiding the sun as it disappears over the vast open waters between Vitilevu and Vanuatu. The path TCyasa is expected to take when it hits the Fiji group. Eleanor Turangaiviu, FBC News.
The Fiji police force had its final briefing today to map out their tropical cyclone Yasa emergency operations. Chief Operations Officer ACP Abdul Khan says hundreds of officers have been deployed with necessary resources for cyclone response. Sanya Nimboila reports, however, that police are reminding Fijians that safety is everyone's responsibility.
Reassess, prepare and protect. That's the message to all police officers working through the Category 5 cyclone.
We've got manpower and vehicles that are on standby, not only here, in all other divisions, that they are prepared, and they are working very closely with the EOCs that have been activated and the NDMO office that has been activated. And we have got police officers that are connected with that, and our situation room at the Police Command Coordination Center that is activated as well.
Additional resources include body cameras and diving gear should there be a need for water rescue. With COVID-19 curfew restrictions still in place, the Chief Operations Officer says checkpoints will be erected when needed.
Curfew will continue. There is a directive from the government that will be in place, but we will be monitoring the weather situation closely in terms of the checkpoints that will be out there, as we need to also see the safety of our officers as well that will be out there at the checkpoints.
ACP Khan has also warned criminal elements who may want to take advantage of the bad weather over the next 2 days.
We know there would be offenders that will be out there taking opportunity in terms of the weather that is out there. But we have plans in place and deployments that will be out on the ground and will be surging operations from tonight, as you'll be able to see more number of officers that will be out there covering for safety and security of people out there.
As tropical cyclone Yasa moves closer to Fiji, police is urging members of the public to make the work easier for them by staying home and adhering to weather precautionary measures. Sainia Nimboila, FBC News.
People in the Yasawa and Mamanuda group of islands have started experiencing heavy rain and winds from this afternoon. Manana Island resort manager Aquila Koroimata says fine conditions prevailed in the morning, but the weather changed late in the afternoon. Josiah Nanunga with the details.
Preparation started early morning as boat operators were advised to halt movement. These boats have been moved to safe locations.
We have learned from the past natural disaster and their impact. We do not want a repeat of those incidences. As soon as we received about tropical cyclone alert earlier this week, we did not waste any time as preparation was well underway. Now everything is secure and we keep on updating ourselves in the latest weather updates on the radio news.
Koroimata says the resort has been put on standby as an evacuation center.
We have about 19 people, including workers, here on the island. We will use some of the hotel facilities as an evacuation center. We have nailed shutters and ensure rooftops are secure to withstand the cyclone.
Matadawalevu village elder Semesa Ronganga says sheds that were erected for next week's Christmas celebrations have been dismantled and villagers have secured their homes too.
The Turanganikoro has been advising all villagers to stock up all necessary items and ensure all houses are safe.
We experienced gloomy weather conditions and light showers this morning, and now it's raining heavily. We expect things to pick up over the next few hours.
Ronganga says the village church and community hall are also on standby as evacuation centers. Chosayenanunga, FBC News.
And we now join Felipe Naikaso live in Nandi. Felipe, it could be double tragedy for those in the Western Division who've been already affected by COVID-19. What else can you tell us?
Yes, Edwin, as you've stated correctly, businesses in Nandi and in the Western Division have just been reeling from the impacts of COVID-19. And with tropical cyclone Yasa now looming, it doesn't look too well for these businesses as they've just been trying to recover from the economic impacts of COVID-19. A majority of these businesses have also shared that for the past 2 to 3 months, they've been making money and money has been coming in slowly for them, and they were hoping to end the year on a high, but it's just been bad news for them. The same thing also goes to the tourism industry. They've been promoting on the Love Your Locals campaign for the past few months, attracting thousands of Fijians down to the Western Division. But with this Category 5 system just at our doorstep, it also doesn't look too well for them, because the major worry here is the infrastructure damage that has been projected by the Weather Office. And with majority of these resorts and hotels along the Coral Coast and also on the coastal line and also in the Mamanutha group, they will be feeling the brunt of tropical cyclone Yasa as it tracks closer. So for the next 24 to 48 hours, these businesses here in the Western Division, their fate is on the line as the system continues to move closer to the Fiji group.
Up ahead, Fijians in flood-prone areas not taking any risks, and limited bus services from tonight.
भाई टोटली दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Welcome back. Businesses in Lambasa have begun preparations for TCyasa. From this morning, business owners have been running around to ensure their property is secure for when the rain and winds hit. Eleanor Turangai View has more.
Shutters up, stocks cleared, and staying tuned to the weather updates. Businesses in Lambasa town are preparing themselves for the onslaught that will be brought by TCyasa later tomorrow.
We are prepared preparing for our hurricane season coming. All the goods put up in the bulk.
We are lifting all our down level floor stocks. We are moving into higher ground to be on the safe side.
For many of these businesses, the biggest threat to their shops is flooding due to drainage issues as well as fears the Lambasa River will burst its banks.
Sealing up the doors so that water doesn't enter inside. We are trying our best because of the flood reaches.
We have to be prepared. We don't know anything can happen.
Most businesses are operating as normal today, and the closure of their businesses will be determined tomorrow.
At the moment, we are running, everything is running smoothly, but like tomorrow we'll be informed. What can happen? We have to open the shop. We don't know.
We'll just see how the weather turns. If it's windy and rainy, and if it's on the media to close the shop, then we'll definitely close the shop.
In its current track, TCyasa is expected to bring winds of up to 90 knots with intense, continuous rainfall in Vanuatu. Eleanor Turangaivu, FBC News.
Eleanor Turangaivu joins us live now from Lambasa. Eleanor, what else has been happening in the Northern Division today?
Edwin, in Taveuni earlier this afternoon, they had started experiencing rain. Now, what's interesting about Taveuni is that most of the communities have implemented a color coding system. Now, this determines their level of preparedness. This is something that's come out of the disaster risk reduction workshops that's been conducted by the Fiji Red Cross Society in these communities. Today, these communities raised the white flag. Now, the white flag basically means get ready. So the communities
communities have been preparing. They've been stocking up on food. They're storing their water. They have also been putting up shutters and also helping the vulnerable members of their communities to move to the evacuation centers even before the rain had started this afternoon. Now, we spoke to the village headman of Lavena as well as Navakawa. The story is the same. They have the level of preparedness is just on par. And in Sabu-Sabu, it's the same. The rains have started this afternoon. I was earlier speaking to the Rokotuida Kaunrobe, and he had raised concerns about members of the public who are still wanting to go ahead with their social gatherings or events that they had planned to be conducted for this week. These include breakup parties, Christmas parties, some weddings and funerals. Now he is urging members of the communities to please reschedule these social gatherings because lives are more important. And earlier this afternoon, Edwin, the NDMO office had released the list of evacuation centers. Now for the Northern Division, there are 196 evacuation centers that have been activated, along with the Northern Emergency Operations Center here in Lambasa. Now those who feel that they are not safe in their homes, you make your way to these evacuation centers, and the authorities are urging that if you do make your way to the evacuation centers, please bring along with you some food that will cater for you and your family during your stay at the evacuation centers. And lastly, Edwin, with regards to the closure of Lambasa and Sabu-Sabu town, this will be at the discretion of the Commissioner Northern Division, who heads the Northern Emergency Operations Center. Edwin.
Manana Island. Traders are being warned not to indulge in unethical practices and take advantage of consumers, as many are struggling to make ends meet. The Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission and the Consumer Council of Fiji have caught traders in the past duping consumers by increasing prices of essential items during natural disasters. Dipesh Kumar reports.
The FCCC officials have been keeping a close watch on all traders.
The FCCC, in fact, is on the ground. We've dispatched officers today. They've been out on the field, making sure that businesses do not engage in practices. We've started receiving reports and complaints. There was one instance where a company, there's an allegation that a company in Nakasi has increased the price of a generator from 699 to about 1,200. So almost doubling, so an instance of price gouging.
The consumer watchdog is also warning traders to not take advantage of the current situation.
We would like to once again urge the traders, please do not engage in practices such as price gouging or conditional selling. Please do not put limitations. Let's work hand in hand to support each other during these trying times, during these difficult times, because we know already we have been affected by COVID-19, and now we might face this natural disaster which is coming, heading towards us.
Consumers who come across instances of price gouging have been urged to contact the relevant authorities on their toll-free numbers. Dipesh Kumar, FBC News.
Fijians living in flood-prone areas of Nasinu have already started their cyclone preparations earlier today. Residents of Vola Vola and the River Road settlements in Narere say they will evacuate to nearby evacuation centers if the need arises. Earlier today, they were busy securing their homes and ensuring there is enough food and water for the next few days. Kelly Vadala reports.
This place flood area, once it's rain, it's always flood.
Cyclone preparations began on Sunday for these families, but living in an area that is prone to flooding during natural disasters, it's all about taking precautionary measures.
At the moment, we are really so scared. Like, we are not expecting, like, it's just like what we're expecting. We really don't know what is gonna happen.
We have done all the shoppings, and we have already prepared for the cyclone. Now we have already tied our house.
Resident Maika Rocco says they're not underestimating the devastation that TCyasa might bring.
We have nailed in extra shutters and completely closed off our porch area because we can't afford any damage to our house. We don't want a repeat of TC Winston.
For those in Gawia settlement in Lami, most were seen storing up water, tying down properties and helping each other.
We have cut down trees and made sure there is no power lines lying around unnecessarily. Parents have been told to keep children safe, but we are doing our part in securing the weak structures.
We are helping each other out because we know TCyasa will affect all of us. It's just like TC Winston all over again.
Residents in these informal settlements say they cannot take any risk and are already doing their part in ensuring they are safe during the height of the Category 5 storm. Kelly Bathala, FBC News.
As of this hour, only skeleton bus services will be provided, and it's uncertain at this stage if services will be available tomorrow. Fiji Bus Operators Association confirms that long-haul bus services will be halted from this evening. General Secretary Rohit Lachan says bus services need to be scaled back for the safety of drivers and the travelling public as people conclude final preparations for the impending cyclone. He says they cannot confirm there will be bus services tomorrow, although if there are, it will only be very limited. He adds bus drivers need to be released to prepare and be with their families as the cyclone approaches, so services will be progressively reduced from this evening. Bus operators are urged to take their directions from authorities and exercise wisdom in operating during this period. Meanwhile, the Fiji Taxi Association General Secretary Ashwin Lal is also urging taxi operators and drivers to use their own judgment.
In emergency cases, we will liaise with the police officers, and if there will be, like we have to cross the flood or anything, then we'll also liaise with the National Fire Authority.
Fijians can expect disruptions to electricity supply once Tropical Cyclone Yasa starts to have a severe impact on the country. Energy Fiji Limited Chief Executive Hasmukh Patel says at the height of the cyclone, a lot of power lines are bound to break, posing risks to Fijians. Patel says in extreme cases, when EFL has no other option, they will implement a nationwide shutdown of electricity supply for the safety of Fijians. Tropical Cyclone Winston in 2016 caused $35 million worth of damage to EFL's infrastructure, and it took 7 months to fully restore the grid.
Should the power line be on, we'll switch it off from our National Control Center in Vunda. We have the facility from one central point to switch off power throughout Fiji in any area. All right? And it's a push of a button, in our National Control Center, and we can do that and make the system safe.
Fijians are now relooking at their Christmas plans as the impending cyclone continues to move closer. The current weather situation has led to the cancellation of all inter-island shipping services, foiling people's travel plans as well. Koroi Tandulala reports.
The approaching tropical cyclone has impeded major plans of a family from Kadavu.
But then as we were preparing for our body to be taken back to the village, it again got spoiled because of these massive hurricanes that are approaching us. So the plan is still on hold.
Makireta Rambuli of Savu Savu, who came to Suva for medical treatment, is now stuck as her boat trip scheduled for this evening has been cancelled.
If there's a hurricane, there's no way of going back. We'll just wait until it finishes, and then whatever the boats, the companies, the shipping companies come over with, we've got our tickets booked and everything. They just have to confirm our going back.
A father and daughter duo are also forced to cancel their Christmas tradition of spending their festivity with their family in Vanuatu due to the current TC threats.
We've cancelled our plans to travel to Vanuatu for Christmas with a cyclone looming over the Fiji group. The safety of my family is my priority.
I decided to spend my Christmas in Savu Savu, but due to the unfavorable weather and the tropical cyclone Yasa, I decided to step back to Suva.
Many Fijians are remaining hopeful that they can make last-minute travel plans once TCyasa passes over the Fiji group. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
A lot of vulnerable communities are tonight preparing for the worst as TCyasa is expected to cause widespread destruction. One such informal settlement is in Wailea, Suva, where Koroi Tandulala is standing by live. Koroi, are the people there prepared?
Thank you, Edwin. As we arrive here this evening, we noticed that a lot of Fijians were still trying to secure their homes, and others were still boarding or putting shutters on their windows as they anticipate and prepare for the arrival of TCyasa to pass over the Fiji group. Now, Edwin, right behind me is a river that runs right in the middle of this squatter settlement, Wailea, and over the past hour of being here, we noticed the water level has been slowly increasing and is now overflowing onto the riverbanks. Now, the relevant authorities over the past 24 hours has been calling for Fijians to move to higher grounds, find their nearest evacuation center and move before night falls. However, some are still out and about, and we also noticed that some Fijians are now returning from their final minute shopping as they prepare themselves for the impending cyclone. Now, with the adverse weather expected to worsen within the next 24 to 48 hours, I would like to reiterate what the authority has been saying. Move to higher grounds now, find your nearest evacuation center. This may possibly lead to saving lives and also avoid the unnecessary loss of lives during this current situation. Edwin.
Thank you, Koroi. And we now turn to business tonight with Josiah.
Thanks, Edwin. Coming up, Fijians put Christmas shopping on hold. And youth reminded to focus on goals. Stay with us.
Pula nadang ko aproslan karse, go erkraki. Do televizyon navarong na Radio Fiji 1 na domibit.
Radio Fiji 1. Leading business tonight, hundreds of families have chosen to forego Christmas in order to buy essential items ahead of TCyasa. The days leading up to Christmas are traditionally a busy shopping time, but this year people are stocking up on food, batteries and other necessities. Jeshulal reports.
Supermarkets were full today, but these shoppers aren't filling their trolleys with Christmas goodies. Instead, it's basic food items to last through TCyasa.
I am out here shopping with my family. This was supposed to be a Christmas shopping, but we had to change our Christmas shopping plans to stock up on basic food items for our preparation for TCyasa.
Another consumer, Anesh, says he is preparing for the worst and his biggest concern is electricity and water supply disruptions.
I am just stocking up some tin supplies and bottled water to prepare for the cyclone, and I am preparing myself for electricity outage and water cuts.
For many Fijians, TCyasa means they have to place all their holiday plans on hold.
The plan was to go out to the islands, but since all movement has been cancelled, I will be doing separate shopping and preparing for the cyclone.
With the weather expected to get worse from tomorrow, today was possibly the last chance for many to buy the necessities to last up to 3 days. Jeshu Lal, FBC News.
The Christmas in the City event has been put on hold. Super Retailers Association President Jitesh Patel says the decision was made following the current weather warnings in place. Patel says this is to ensure the safety of retailers and customers.
Due to the weather advisories, we have postponed the notice, and we'll keep the public updated when it starts again. So we advise everyone that the Christmas in the city has been postponed to a further date.
Gary from HFC Bank joins us now with the latest from the money market.
The Aussie and Kiwi dollars are holding to near multi-year highs. The Aussie got knocked a bit yesterday after China confirmed a ban on Australian coal in an ongoing trade spat. However, the Kiwi is holding strong, up 7% since the start of November. Market risk sentiment has improved as hopes of effective coronavirus vaccines and the ongoing prospect of more U.S. fiscal stimulus cheered investors. Optimism of a $1.4 trillion U.S. spending package increased after the Speaker of the House indicated a meeting to hammer out a deal to be enacted this week. Traders will now look to the U.S. Federal Reserve for new projections on whether the economy will suffer a double-dip recession or is on the cusp of a vaccine-inspired boom. The U.S. Federal Reserve is set to release a statement later tonight, with analysts expecting some guidance on when and how the Fed might change its bond purchases. And that's all from HFC Bank for now. Pinaka.
Here are the local exchange rates as set early this morning. The Fiji dollar continues to climb against most of the currencies we cover, gaining on the Chinese yuan, the US greenback, the Kiwi, the Kina and the euro, but sliding slightly against the Aussie and the yen. On the commodities market, oil remained on the rise, nearing $48 a barrel. Gold was up $25 at $1,857 per ounce, and silver closed higher at $24 to $68. And in growing Fiji, a group of young Fijians today graduated from the Vale Levu Youth Training Center. Minister for Youth Praveen Kumar commended the graduates for choosing non-formal education training to upskill themselves. The center specializes in music training as a means of providing equal opportunities to youths who may have dropped out of school and at looking at pathways for a sustainable future. Kumar adds the facility is renowned for the National Youth Band.
Through our non-formal education training, we are committed in providing equal opportunities to the youths who may have dropped out of the formal education stream and looking at pathways for a sustainable future. My ministry and government is all about empowerment opportunities. Your training is about empowerment in the music and performing arts area.
And that's all from Business Tonight. Jamie is up next with sports.
And good evening. In sports tonight, Jenny Brazil is new Fiji Pearls coach, and early prep for women's cricket. This and more coming up.
हमारे सामने नाइक है गोमगो लिबू लटो का रेडियो फीजी 2 में
Jenny Brazil has been named the new Fiji Pearls head coach. Brazil was part of the successful Firebirds for the ANZ Championship and Suncorp Super Netball from 2015 to 2019. The former Queensland Firebirds assistant coach says she's focused on the development of players and coaches right across the board. Brazil adds Fiji has tremendous young players with so much promising netball talent, leading to a wonderful opportunity to develop and implement a highly successful world-class program for all. Netball Fiji President Ruby Ann Sorovaki says Brazil has solid experience in all areas of high performance, given her current position with Netball Queensland and Netball Australia. The Fiji Rugby Union is calling on fans to support the national sevens team preparing for the 2021 Tokyo Olympic Games. The FRU launched an initiative earlier this week with the sale of Fiji Sevens calendars. The money collected will be directed towards team preparation and training. Head coach Gareth Baber says the support of the wider community will be vital in the journey to defend the Olympic Sevens gold medal.
We now need to replenish them and move on, and supporting the program to enable us to stay at the quality that we have produced over the last few years, particularly going over this next 67 months where we really don't know what a lot of the landscape is going to look like, and we're going to have to be as flexible as possible.
Fiji Airways Flying Fijians head coach Vern Cotter wants more test matches against Tier 1 nations before the next World Cup. While the Flying Fijians are confirmed to play the All Blacks and Ireland next year, Cotter says getting more game time against higher-ranked teams will allow the Flying Fijians to better gauge itself and will ultimately assist in improving performance.
Yeah, we're in the process of talking with them, see what we can do. We obviously want more games against Tier 1 nations. I mean, that's something that we just like to test ourselves, because there's nothing better. You can train all you like, but the games really is where you get your value from your performance after an 80 minutes, and especially against Tier 1 nations. So if we can get more games there, and I mean, we'll, as coaches, Wayne and Renz, we all know that shared experience is so important. So the more we get, the better we'll be.
Cricket Fiji is going back to the basics as it prepares the national women's team for the upcoming East Asia Pacific qualifiers. Officials have undertaken a training program with the high performance unit to upskill the women in the current extended squad. National coach Tueli Mateawa says women's cricket has slowly picked up this season, and they want the players to acquire more knowledge of the sport.
The reason why we are conducting this program, we are trying to take them back to the basic skills of cricket. Most of them have been played in the national level. We've been away from the national arena for a few years. That's why we are conducting this program and taking them back to the skills of cricket.
The play of the day comes from the English Premier League, and it's the Wolves' equalising goal from their 2-1 win over Chelsea that makes the pick. Perfect patience and timing from Daniel Podence. That's it from Sports Tonight.
मैं टोटली दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
And let's catch up on today's weather with Kritika.
There was a wide range of weather conditions across Fiji today, influenced by the approach of TCyasa. The west started out sunny, then saw a chance of cloudiness with some light drizzle and increasing winds. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, it was generally cloudy with scattered showers and some heavy falls. And up north, conditions were much the same, cloud and occasional showers. At sea, a gale warning as a storm surge and damaging heavy swell warning are in force for the Yasawa and Mamanuca groups, Viti Levu, Vanua Levu and nearby smaller islands. The next low tide is at 3:16 a.m. followed by high tide at 9:33 a.m., sunrise at 5:24 a.m. For tomorrow, the strong wind warning and a heavy rain warning will remain in force for all of Fiji. Caution is advised in areas prone to flash flooding. Temperatures will remain around the low 30s. Looking ahead to tomorrow night and Friday is another story. On its current track, TCyasa is due to pass between Viti Levu and Vanua Levu, so extreme conditions can be expected and everyone is advised to take all possible precautions. That's the weather for now, and it's back to Edwin.
Thank you, Kritika. In Fijian Pulse, we ask, does your Christmas plan change due to tropical cyclone Yasa?
I was planning to spend Christmas in Lautoka with the family, but now I can't.
I was going to attend a soli on Christmas at the village, but now I will just stay home.
All my Christmas plans are now on hold because of TCyasa.
We will just spend Christmas at home now, can't go anywhere.
Recapping the main stories, TCyasa intensifies and heads our way. Over 600,000 Fijians could be affected, says NDMO, and Bua residents don't want a repeat. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. And to our poll question this week, we are asking, do you think social media users should be held accountable for the content they upload? Visit our FBC website to answer. And on to our shot of the day, Fijians continue to take precautions and prepare for the impending cyclone. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook page FBC News, and our other social media accounts are Twitter and Instagram as well. That was for your news for this evening. Join us again tomorrow morning at 6:15 for our next live update on TCyasa. Until then, stay safe. Good night.
कुमार सानी नाइक है गोमवा लेबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.